asking for my life. I cannot live without Nitai. He's asking me to give him my life. And he reflected of Dasarath Maharaj in Ayodhya. He was faced with the same dilemma. There is Nityananda Ram, and Dasarath, there was Ram. And out from the forest came a sannyasi named Vishwamitra. And he told Dasarath, I want something. I want you to vow to me that you will fulfill my request. And Dasarath, I'll give you my whole kingdom. I'll give you anything. I vow, whatever you like. Give me Ram. I'm going into the forest on pilgrimage. And Dasarath, giving Ram was giving his life. But Hadai Pandit was thinking, still, even if it was so painful, even if it was so inconceivable, Dasarath gave Ramchandra to Vishwamitra. So I cannot betray the dharma that is expected of me. But I must first consult my wife. Ultimately, if she objects, I cannot do it. So he went to Padmavati. He was weeping, he was crying, he was trembling, he was lost. That this sannyasi wants to take our little 12-year-old Nitai on pilgrimage with him. It may be for years. Padmavati, she had the same reactions. All she could say is, whatever is your will is my will. Hadai Pandit and Padmavati looked at little Nityananda Prabhu to see what was his reaction. And he was completely calm, he was smiling. I'm ready to go. He didn't say anything, but that was the indication. I'm ready to go, no problem. To leave such a loving, protected home, to leave all of his friends, the comforts. Oh, can you imagine Padmavati? The love, the devotion, the ecstasy in which she would cook for Nitai every day. And now he's going out to be a beggar in forests. So the sannyasi, it is said, I was told the story at Ekachakra, near the Garbhavas, that the sannyasi gave Padmavati and Hadai Pandit a deity of Krishna named Murlidhar. And that deity is still on the altar there. And whenever Padmavati and Hadai Pandit looked into the face of that deity, they could see the face of their Nityananda Prabhu. The sannyasi left with the life and the soul of everyone of Ekachakra. Very soon, the news spread to everyone. Everyone came running to the house of Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, and they were unconscious. The only motion in their body was torrents of tears pouring from their eyes. They would come to conscious, they would remember Nitai, they would fall unconscious. People saw that. Everyone in Ekachakra became in that state. And the parents, we have to bring Nitai back. They were running in all directions trying to find the sannyasi, and they were crying out, "Take my son, don't take Nitai." They were crying out to this person, whoever he was, "Please come back, take my son. My son knows cooking. Nitai doesn't know any cooking. He's never cooked in his life. My son is a good cook. My son knows housekeeping. My son knows so many things. Please take him, but give us back Nitai." And they were running in all directions looking for the sannyasi, trying to get Nitai back, but they couldn't find him anywhere. They just disappeared. And when they all came together, all they could do was cry and cry and cry. They were trying to pacify Padmavati and Hadai Pandit, but they were all more or less in the same condition. And that night, the Pandits, they came together. And they remembered that great astrologer. He predicted that Sri Bhagavan, Balaram, would take birth in our town, our village, and give everyone the greatest happiness. And he did. And we did not recognize him. Nitai is Balaram. He was with us. And now he's gone. Hadai Pandit, Padmavati, they could not eat, they could not drink, they could not sleep. They were immersed in the thought of Nitai. For 3 months. It's only the thought of separation of Nitai, the love and separation that kept him alive. And Narahari Chakravarti tells a beautiful story in Bhakti Ratnakar how Hadai Pandit, the only thing that kept him alive was the expectation that at any moment Nitai would come. He'd just call out, "Nitai, I'm going to the fields now to see how the crops are growing. Come with me. Let's see together. Nitai, I'm going shopping. Come with me. Choose what you like to get. Nitai, your mother has made all the most favorite dishes of your prasad. It's ready. She's anxiously awaiting for your return home to feed you. Come, Nitai." And one time he cried out with great joy to Padmavati, Look over there on the road. Nitai is returning. He's coming back. This sannyasi is so kind. He knows our heart. He's bringing Nitai back. Come, look, see." And then he would fall unconscious, rolling in the ground, crying, "Where is Nitai?" In this way, after 3 months, Padmavati and Hadai Pandit, chanting the holy names of Nitai Chandra, they departed from this world. And most all of the residents of Ekachakra in the same condition. They just, without saying anything to anyone, they just went to different places. Meanwhile, Nitai's on pilgrimage. He is so happy. He's with this sannyasi, and after some time, he just continued the pilgrimage alone. And there's a wonderful explanation of all the different places he visited. He went all the way from Bengal, he went to Jagannath Puri, he went to Kanyakumari, he came up to the western coast of India, and in Maharashtra state, he visited Pandharpur. How many people here have been to Pandharpur? Please raise your hands. The deity of Vittal Dev is giving his darshan there. Nityananda Prabhu, in great ecstatic love, he had the darshan of Vittal Dev. And he wanted to be in seclusion and stay in Pandharpur for some time. So there was a very gentle, loving Brahmin, Vaishnav, who invited Nityananda Prabhu to stay in his home. And Nityananda Prabhu was very secretly living there. This Brahmin was very eager to invite his guru to Pandharpur to be with him, which he would do regularly. His guru's name was Lakshmipati Tirtha. He came to the Brahmin's house, sat down, took prasad. Lakshmipati Tirtha was a very, very great saint, one of the sannyasi acharyas of the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. He was also the initiating guru of Madhavendra Puri. Lakshmipati Tirtha said to his disciple, "I have been to your house many times, but I have never, ever, ever felt so happy here. Why am I feeling so happy? Is some great personality here?" And because Nityananda Prabhu wanted to be secret, the Brahmin said, "Your mercy is all that I'm made of." That night, Lakshmipati Tirtha, by the Lord's arrangement within his heart, he began to feel deep devotion and offer prayers and meditations to Lord Balaram. He was weeping. "Oh, Balaram, I am the most fallen. I am the most unworthy. Please bestow your mercy upon me. I have no qualifications to receive those mercies, but please, please bless me with your grace." And in this way, he was crying all night in intense remembrance of Balaram, praying. And then he fell asleep and had a dream. In the dream, Balaram appeared to him. He surrendered his body, his mind, his words, his life, his soul to Balaram. "How may I serve you?" And Balaram told him that "I have heard your lamentation, and I cannot bear your lamentation of separation from me, so I had to come." He said, In this village, there is a young boy who's in the garb of an avadut. He will approach you and ask you for initiation. You should initiate him. And I am going to tell you the mantra that you should give. And then Balaram whispered in the right ear of Lakshmipati Tirtha, in the dream, a special mantra. Lakshmipati Tirtha was in complete ecstasy. And then Balaram disappeared, and the dream ended, and it was now morning, and the sun was about to rise. And just then, Nityananda Prabhu came into his room and offered his full dandavats. Lakshmipati Tirtha, such a beautiful young man. He placed him on his lap. And Nityananda said, please give me initiation. Lakshmipati Tirtha, seeing the beauty, the charm of Nityananda Prabhu, he could understand this is not a human being. In his heart of hearts, he could understand this is my worshipable Lord, but he couldn't really intellectually connect to that. But if it is your will, he gave Nitai the mantra that Balaram gave him that same night. The night before. Nityananda and him spent some time together. Such a disciple. And he found such happiness. And then Nityananda Prabhu left. And he just was completely absorbed in thought of the wonderful qualities of Nityananda Prabhu. His heart was irresistibly attracted to him. He was crying. At that time, Lakshmipati Tirtha was a very old man. And again, he fell asleep. And in his dream, Nityananda Prabhu appeared. And he was just gazing upon Nitai. And then Nitai, right in front of his eyes in the dream, Nitai transformed into Balaram. He fell at the feet of Balaram, Lakshmipati Tirtha, and worshipped his lotus feet and cried on his feet. And then right before his eyes, Balaram turned again into Nityananda Prabhu and told him, do not tell anyone what you have seen. So he didn't tell anyone, but how do we know? Because through his devotees, Nityananda told us. He told him, don't tell anyone, but then he told others, tell everyone. That is his pastime. So after this dream where Nityananda Prabhu disappeared again, Lakshmipati Tirtha never said another word to anyone. He was totally absorbed in the deepest, most profound samadhi. And soon after this, he departed from this world and went back to the spiritual world of Vaikuntha. After Nityananda Prabhu departed from Pandharpur, he went to a place close to Pratichi Tirtha. And there he met Srila Madhavendra Puri. When they met each other, many great biographers try to explain, but all admit that they cannot explain the immediate loving, ecstatic feelings that they shared with each other. As soon as they saw each other, they saw the treasure of prema bhakti in their hearts. They were embracing. They were falling on the ground. They were falling unconscious. Great saints like Ishwara Puri, Brahmananda Puri were there serving their guru, Madhavendra Puri, and they were so happy they never saw such a loving connection between two human beings. Because in their traveling to different holy places with their guru, they would meet so many people and so many sadhus, but most people were worldly, or they had arrogance, or they had different types of material conditionings, or they were seeking out liberation, or they were seeking out yogic powers, or they were trying to get love, but they didn't really have it. But here, the full manifestation of ecstatic prema in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan was being shared by the two of them, and Ishwara Puri and the other devotees were gazing, crying with happiness. Nityananda Prabhu told Madhavendra Puri that I have traveled to so many holy places, but I have not found what I've been looking for, the treasure of ecstatic love. But now I am finding it in you. Madhavendra Puri said to Nityananda Prabhu, by Krishna's supreme mercy upon me, I now have you as my friend. Madhavendra Puri considered Nityananda Prabhu his dearmost friend, and Nityananda Prabhu considered Madhavendra Puri his guru and honored him with that loving respect. Somehow or other, their pastimes had created a destiny where they had to part from one another. And Nityananda Prabhu, he departed for Setu Bandhu, and Madhavendra Puri went toward the Sarayu, holy river. Nityananda Prabhu went to so many holy places. He went all the way up to Badrinath. When he was in Hastinapur, he was remembering the Pandavas and weeping and crying to think all the difficulties they had to endure. And ultimately, he came to Vrindavan. And he roamed through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And he was home. In the mood of Balaram, he was remembering Krishna. And he decided, I will stay in Vrindavan until Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals his mission of Sankirtan to the world. When he went to Ramghat, the place where Balaramji performed his Ras Leela, Nityananda Prabhu was absorbed in that wonderful, reliving the eternal Leela of Balaram. When he was at the Shringar Bhat or Nityananda Bhat on the banks of the river Yamuna, he was just like a little child. He would play with the Brijabasi children. They would splash, they would laugh, they would play. He was just waiting. Then that great historical moment came where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Gauranga, had returned to Navadvip from Gaya, where he had received initiation from Nityananda Prabhu's godbrother, Ishwarapuri. And Lord Chaitanya established his Sankirtan movement. Advaita was there, Srivas was there, Haridas Thakur was there, Gadadhar Pandit was there. But Lord Chaitanya was feeling everything is incomplete. Where is Nityananda Prabhu? And when Lord Chaitanya thought like that, Nityananda Prabhu from Vrindavan, now I must go. He traveled by foot to Navadvip. What time should I end? I'm sorry. When he came to Navadvip, he went to the house of Nandan Acharya, and there he secretly hid. Nandan Acharya was so happy to see Nityananda Prabhu. He never saw him before, but he could understand his love by his compassion. And he welcomed him and served him in so many ways. Lord Chaitanya was sitting in his own house with his devotees. And he told them on that very day that Nitai arrived, he said, I had a dream. In my dream, a chariot came in front of my house, and on that chariot was an extraordinary personality. He had a wonderful light complexion. He was carrying a plow over his shoulder. He had an earring in one of his ears. He had blue garments. He looked intoxicated in an ecstatic state. He was slightly rocking and asking the same question over and over again. Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? And Nimai said to his devotees, I asked him, who are you? And this person, this extraordinary and luminous person said, I am your brother. Tomorrow, we will meet together. And then Lord Chaitanya said, he was Balaram. He was Balaram. He has come to Navadvip. Srivas, Haridas, go, find him. Search everywhere. Srivas and Haridas, they saw Lord Chaitanya's mood. He went into such a state, he actually started crying out, bring me, Varuni, Varuni. And he entered into the state of Balaram, absorbed in thinking of Nityananda Prabhu. So Srivas and Haridas, they were searching everywhere very joyfully. We must find him, we must find him. They went to every house. They went to every bathing ghat. They went to every shop. For 8 hours, they searched continuously. And finally, they came back. And they told Lord Chaitanya, we looked everywhere. We can't find him. We were asking everybody. Nobody knows about such a person. And Lord Chaitanya smiled. He said, he is very mysterious. come with me. And Lord Chaitanya walked right to the house of Nandanacharya. And there inside the house, they saw from outside was Nityananda sitting. And Lord Chaitanya bowed down. And all the devotees bowed